Sometimes you'll find that the solvent, does a pretty good job, and it may be good enough, especially in areas that don't show much. What I try to avoid is over polishing things to the point where it looks out of place on the machine. It'll either look like a reproduction, or especially if you replate it, or it will just look wrong. So I try to make the whole machine kind of blend together in the end. So just a little bit of semi-chrome on some nice piece of cotton, and you don't have to go too crazy. It doesn't take much to get a bit of a nice shine back on it and still have it look like it should. And the other thing about the semi-chrome is that any bare spots it's going to help protect, because it does have a corrosion inhibitor. It'll leave us a nice hard film on there that it will help preserve your machine and keep it looking good permanently. I actually keep mine in an old barrister, and a few of my machines are in an antique side-by-side secretary, so they're not exposed to a lot of moisture, and they're not exposed to UV that would harm the keys or the rubber or anything. So they're going to live a pretty good life after they're back together. Like I said, I don't do this on a buffing wheel. I don't use any kind of power tool doing it. If it's totally up to you. Also, I try to, like I said, it's not a total restoration. What I'm trying to do here is more of a refurbishment, getting the machine back to where it looks presentable and, very importantly to me, functional. So there's not really a lot of need to show too much of this, because it's just handwork, and it would take up a lot of video. So I will show the parts, of course, finished and assembled, and you can bring these to any degree you want, but like I said, there's a point where you start getting the nickel too thin, and then you might have an issue. And if you start removing the plating, if you want it nice and shiny, you can still get the steel shiny, but it won't be the same color. Nickel has a very distinct, very slightly brownish hue to it. I think it's much prettier than chrome, but that's a personal opinion. One of the reasons it's important to take pictures and to do things very methodically is because there are small spacers and washers on these machines that you may not know where they go. So when you do find something like this small spacer here goes on here, what you want, what I do anyway, is that I see where it might belong. So I can see this shiny surface here. It's pretty evident, this fitting over there, that's where that's going to go. They're not overly complicated, but you do have some small issues like that can crop up, and you definitely want to assemble it correctly. I think this part's worth demonstrating. If you've taken both of these frames off, I suggest putting one in first, so that it just makes life a lot easier before you start this process. This part right here, that tab has to go beneath the frame. If you assemble it backwards, you'll have to take it apart again. So that goes under there. The roll goes in this end, goes into that hole. And like I said, this goes over that tab. And you just line the hole up. And you're going to be fighting these springs that actually push these frames up and push the roller against the platen. So you want to take the pin, and I've smoothed them out enough where they have where they start in nicely without having to drive them at first. And you'll want to catch that hole in the frame itself. sometimes a bit of a trick. There it is. So there it goes. Now once I get it to that point, now I can get it right to the end, just tapping it very lightly. I want it to just stick out. If I go too far, I'm going to have to start over again. So once I get it sticking out just a little bit, still not out. Stick it out a little bit, then I can snap this on because they are tapered a little bit. Snap that on, finish driving it home. It doesn't take much. Tabs are below the frames, everything's good. So once the platen is on, that'll push this into position. And also, if you don't put the scale on at this time, you'll have quite a bit of difficulty trying to put it on afterwards, because once the platen is in place, these little torsion springs are very difficult to put on and quite easy at this point. So you'll have one end that's open, one end that's closed. Just slide it on the end of the journal, drop it down, and you want to make sure you got these right. So like I said, there's a right and a left side. If you get it wrong, you'll know it pretty quick. So drop the first tab over, just hook it on the frame. It's that easy to get them on. But if you're trying to fish them on once the platen is in place, you end up with kind of you can do it, but it's you're likely to misshape the little torsion spring. And these are not something you're going to find any place other than on a Blickensderfer. So, or at least I don't believe you are. So once those are in place, now your scale will be pushed against the platen. So at this point, what I do is I put on the left side of the frame to make life a little easier. And then when I'm putting this on, I make sure that I slide this into that hole, because if I don't, at that point, I'm not going to get it into that hole. I have to take the frame back off. So basically, I'll put this side of the frame on, slide the platen in, slide that hole in, and then I can put these two screws in. I usually drop them in with it raised up a little bit. I don't tighten these down. I have it raised up a little bit, drop them in, and then I can use the screwdriver to bring them in, because otherwise you really can't reach in there without a small pair of tweezers, which are not a bad idea to have handy when you're working on these. So anyway, I'm going to continue with putting this back together. I don't think the rest of it really needs to be shown. I'll just show the completed carriage assembly. Right. With the carriage mostly reassembled, now I'm going to see if the alignment is correct. So what I need to do is I have the paper guide raised so that I can see in here. I'm going to eyeball straight down the carriage, and I'm going to press a key and look and see, make sure it's making contact all the way across and that it's a good match to the curve or to the radius of the platen, which it is in that position. Now I'm going to go to the other end, press the space bar because I don't have the bail on, the carriage release bail on there, and do the same thing. And that one has to go forward just a little bit. So glad I did that. Screws aren't extremely tight, and I left the thumb wheel off this side. Snug them back up. It looks beautiful. So now I'm going to do the characters. because that will tell me even more. Let me see, use a, so that looks good. And then I'll put it on shift, because these are 3 different levels. I just want to make sure they all look good. Sure why that wasn't coming all the way down. There it goes. And that looks good too. Go down to the other end. That looks pretty good. And that looks good also. So I think we're in business. Now I can just put the thumb wheel on, snug the screws up, put the carriage release bail on the back and the paper tray. And this is my 1904 machine. This is actually the ink frame that holds the little roller, because these don't use a ribbon. And then I'll have to put the margin stop on there too. So other than that, this carriage is ready to go. And of course, the one that I originally intended to show is all ready to go also, except for I'll have to wait till that machine's assembled before I can actually find out exactly where everything belongs. So all good. End of this video.